All right, everybody, welcome back into another episode of Tavern Takes. I'm here alone tonight. I, Cole, obviously. I'm going to do a little week 9 preview real quick. Uh, might hit on some World Series stuff depending on if some stuff goes on while I'm live or not. Um, but let's get right into it. Thursday night, um, Ravens, Dolphins. I picked the Dolphins to beat the Falcons last week. Don't know why. Kind of just had a feeling. Um, did not have that same feeling this week. Lamar's back. Pretty sure the Ravens are going to go ahead and they're going to run away with that division, but pretty confident. If the Steelers lose to the Colts this week, the Ravens are literally a game back in the AFC North after the dumpster fire that has been the start to their season. Lamar's back, looks great. Um, only other thing I have on that game is Chris Greer finally got fired. Shout out Will. No, he's very happy. Sounds like McDaniel's gonna finish out the year as coach, which I know the guys in the chat didn't really think it made a whole lot of sense to stick with McDaniel's, but I think until you solidify your new GM, like what does it really matter at this point? Like the new GM's going to go get his own guy anyway. So whether you fire him or bring an intern in, it doesn't really make too much of a difference. Their season's pretty much over. That's pretty much all I got on that game. So I'll get right into Sunday's action. You got the 49ers and the Giants. I have a sneaky feeling about the Giants in this game. I don't know if I took them on our pick 'em or not, but I'm kind of 50-50 on it. Sounds like Mac Jones is starting. So the interesting thing going on in San Francisco is this Brock Purdy injury's taken quite a while to recover from. And outside of last week, Mac Jones has played pretty well. So it's going to be kind of real interesting to see if Purdy gets his job back, because he wasn't playing that well when he was healthy. And the Niners are still, I think, 5-2. So, I think they're 5-3. I either way, like this game, I think is a little bit of a toss up. I think the Giants will come out and play inspired. I think it's going to be a lot closer than people think, but in the end, I probably do lean San Francisco pulling it out. Next, we have Chargers Titans. I really have nothing on that game. The Titans are easily the worst team in the NFL. Maybe the Jets are worse, I guess, but that team is just, the Titans are just so bad, and the Chargers with Joe Alt have been a completely different team than without Joe Alt, and Joe Alt's gonna play. So Chargers probably win this by anywhere from 14 to 28 points. So don't really have a whole heck of a lot to say on that game. Next we got Vikings Lions. There's kind of a theme this week of like lose this game and your season's, it's not necessarily done, but it's not on the right track. And unfortunately for my wife, who's a diehard Vikings fan, Minnesota's got to find a way. JJ McCarthy's back after his soft benching. It's time to show up, JJ. It's time to show what you're worth. The Lions are just ho hum, good offense, good defense. They're gonna. You pretty much know what to expect on most Sundays from Detroit. It's gonna be really tough for the Vikings to pull this out, but I got the Lions. I think the Vikings, it's the kitchen sink game, and they kind of pull out all the stops to try and I think they will keep it close, but I just think in the end, Detroit's going to be a little bit too much. Falcons Patriots. This is another one of my, as I just alluded to, need this game or things could get sideways. And I'm looking at you, Atlanta. Getting dog walked by the Dolphins at home is very, very embarrassing. Now, given it was Kirk Cousins and not Michael Penix, but Penix is so Jekyll and Hyde as well. The Patriots have been so good this year. I actually like the Falcons. I think the Falcons have enough of a pulse. And I think, like I said, this is like it's time to show up or your season could go sideways. And I like Atlanta. And everyone's high on Drake May and the Patriots right now. And I just think it's a little bit of a come down to earth game for the Patriots. So I like Atlanta actually to pull an upset and come out with a win. Colts Steelers. This is another one. It's not as much of a win this game of your season's sliding off the tracks for Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's issues have been the same all year, and their defense is the highest paid defense in the NFL, and it's just not doing anything this year. TJ Watt hasn't been TJ Watt. Hayward hasn't been Hayward. Ramsey and Slay look like shells of themselves. I mean, Ramsey's been better than Slay, but still hasn't been vintage Ramsey. They got injuries. The Colts are an absolute wagon offensively. They can be had defensively, which is the only reason I think Pittsburgh has somewhat of a hope in this game. The Colts defense isn't very good, but I just don't know how they stop. I don't know how they stop Danny Dimes, which, man, I didn't ever think I'd be uttering that phrase, but it is what it is. He's been so good. Taylor's been MVP good. That Colts offense is just good. And I think I picked the Steelers and pick them to be a contrarian, but if I had to put actual financial money on it, I think the Colts probably cruise in this game. Broncos Texans. This one's going to be fun. I think the Texans are a good enough team when they play defenses that aren't like top 10. The Texans can win in like pretty much any game. Their problem is when they run into teams with a pass rush. See Seattle. See some of the other games they've lost. And Denver's defense is as good as Seattle's, if not better. So no Pat Surtain. That's a big deal. I think the Texans got Nico Collins back. So we'll see if that O-line can hold up long enough for Stroud to make some plays this week. He looked pretty good last week against a beat-up 49ers defense. But that Texans defense on the other side of the ball is good enough to keep them in any game. And it's not like Bo Nix, other than last week against the Cowboys, which show me an offense other than the Commanders, who haven't absolutely torched the Cowboys this year. So I lean Denver. They kind of got that, like, we're going to play like crap, but still find a way to win mantra about them this year. So I got Denver in a very close one. Bears Bengals. Again, another time to show up if you have any sort of playoff expectations game. More so for the Bears than the Bengals. I mean, I guess you could say it for the Bengals, but Flacco's questionable. Think he probably ends up playing. But the Bears that offense needs to hum this week. And if they don't hum this week, then Bears season's over. They need to win this game. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Bears need to win this game, and Caleb needs to look good doing it. So I actually picked the Bengals because I don't think the Bears are good. I think they're a year out. I think Ben Johnson's going to look at the roster at the end of the year and do one of those, like, oh, well, if you're not going to play my system on offense and defense, then get the hell out type of things with that roster. So we'll see what happens, but I actually kind of think the Bengals pull this one out. Next up, we have Panthers-Packers. Packers will win this game. Bryce Young's going to play. I think it's going to be closer than people think. The Packers have this tendency to play to the level of their competition. And the Panthers have shown to be sneaky frisky at times. It's not enough. Rico Dowdle's going to have to go off. If they have any chance of winning. I like them to keep it close. I think it's like within a touchdown in the fourth quarter, and then the Packers kind of pull away in the fourth. But I got the Packers in that one. Saints-Rams. I don't know. I just something about a new starting quarterback, and I know Tyler Shuck isn't really that good, but something about a new quarterback sometimes lights a fire under an offense, and that's kind of, I guess, me being hopeful as the Rams are in my division. But I think New Orleans finds a way to keep it a little closer than people think, but the Rams still end up winning, and I think pulling away in the fourth. Jaguars Raiders. This is a fest. Man, I hate seeing Geno suck. Am I glad we moved off of him? Seeing what Darnold's doing, yeah. Do I like that Geno's been completely awful? No, I loved his comeback story. I loved pretty much everything about him. But there was just, there's a ceiling with Geno, and if you don't surround him with enough talent, like he's just not going to be able to get it done for you. And the Raiders just don't have that talent. They do get Bowers back this week, which Geno has looked a lot better with Brock Bowers than without. And they signed Tyler Lockett, and Tyler Lockett is going to get meaningful snaps, and he's got a rapport with Geno, and we'll see if that helps him out a little bit. But I think Jacksonville wins, even with Travis Hunter being out. I still think Jacksonville is not a great team, but they're a better team than Vegas. So I think the Jaguars find a way to win this one. Game of the week, Chiefs-Bills. Story usually is Bills win the regular season, Chiefs win in the playoffs. I think it kind of holds serve here. Chiefs look really good right now. Chiefs look awesome. Getting Rashid Rice back. Mahomes is Mahomes. They look great. The Bills crap pumped the Panthers last week without Bryce Young. I don't know that Bryce Young really makes much of a difference in that game, but the Bills kind of got back to Bills things last week. I think it kind of holds serve in terms of the history of these two teams that the Bills will win this one because it's a regular season game. It'll be super close. It'll be super fun. Thank God that's in the late window because the other two games are Saints-Rams and Jaguars-Raiders. So hopefully they can give us a really good game in that late window and, make it somewhat entertaining, I guess. Because last week's late window was absolutely awful. So hoping for a good one in that one. Then we go on to Sunday Night Football, where my Seahawks play at the Commanders. This is another one of those games it's for the Commanders where they really need it. They really, really need it. Seattle doesn't necessarily need it. when I went through the schedule at the beginning of the year, I kind of had this chalked up as an auto loss. Definitely isn't an auto loss anymore the way we've been playing with how great our defense is. And Darnold's been good. Last time we saw him, he was a little shaky on Monday night against that Texans defense. But I've said it, time and again, that Texans defense is going to make a lot of quarterbacks look bad. So the Commanders' defense is just god awful. So I got Seattle. Don't feel great about the pick. Like I said, it's a kitchen sink kind of do or die game for the Commanders, and I think Jaden Daniels is good enough for them to win this game. But you look at the outcomes of a game, and there's really only one outcome where the Commanders win, and it's a complete and utter shootout. And I don't think our defense is bad enough to allow it to become a shootout. So that's kind of why. And they're going to have no answer for JSN. Lattimore's been not good this year. So we'll see. I mean, I lean Seattle, but wouldn't surprise me if the Commanders, they have Seattle this week, the Lions next week, and then the Dolphins over in Madrid after that. And to stay in contention in the NFC, the Commanders pretty much need to go 2-1. And I think this is the one they're pointing at, because they'll get the Dolphins one. I think they got a better chance against Seattle than they do against Detroit. Both games are at home for them, but I think they would like to go into that Detroit game next week, not do or die. So, we'll see what happens. Monday night, Cardinals-Cowboys. Without coming out and saying they bench Kyler Murray, they pretty much bench Kyler Murray, which makes sense. Like, Jacoby Brissett's looked way better in that offense. I don't know that I trust Jacoby Brissett to make enough plays, even against a terrible Cowboys defense. The Cardinals defense is actually pretty good, and they're getting healthier. But I don't know that I trust them to stop CD and Pickens and Javonte Williams. And I think they're good, but they're not good enough that they can't be had. I think they get had. I think the Cowboys get back in their winning ways. And, Cowboys are going to be this team all year that they might not make the playoffs, but they're a team that teams are going to see in their schedule later on in the year when they're either fighting for a playoff spot or fighting for seeding. And Dallas is going to pick some teams off because Dak's been so good and that offense has been so good. So that's pretty much all I got this week. Keep tuning in. I think the guys might do a pod tomorrow that might come out before the football games, but college basketball starting next week. Excited for that. Badgers should be pretty good. We'll see with Marquette. Florida is going to be extremely good again. We'll see what happens, but I'm excited for college basketball, excited for NFL football, and, we're just going to keep ripping out content. So thanks for tuning in, guys.